This is the Beyond the Prophy podcast, the podcast that empowers you and inspires you to seek career excellence while pursuing your passion. And I'm your host, Jasmine Haley. Hey BTP family, this Beyond the Prophy podcast episode is brought to you in part through a sponsorship from Young Dental. This episode's featured product is a varnish pen, 5% sodium fluoride varnish. It has a very thin, translucent appearance. It's all in one delivery system that allows you to be able to apply the varnish with its flared brush tip very, very quickly and very easily using one hand. It's all recyclable except for the tip. You can find out more about this product at www.youngdental.com. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Beyond the Prophy podcast. We have a wonderful guest here today. I'm very excited to meet with her because what she particularly does in our field is something that I'm not totally aware of. And so I cannot wait to hear about her journey and hear about the service that she provides for our clinical hygienists. So I would like to welcome Debi Dencek to the Beyond the Prophy podcast. Welcome.
Thanks, Jasmine. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm very, very excited to get to know you a little bit and hear about your journey. So if anyone has ever seen in a magazine or perhaps on the show floors at dental hygiene conferences, there's this amazing product called Cordeze, which we're hoping to implement soon in the program that I'm working at. We've actually talked about it, and I know that it would be very beneficial to students to be able to have some assistance with that cord that drives us crazy when we're working with our patients. So what led you to going in this direction? Tell us a little bit about your journey and what your journey has been like specifically as a practicing dental hygienist and now providing a solution for so many professionals who have dealt with the issues with our cords while we're working.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I honestly have not, I had like a part-time deal with clinical hygiene. Clinic was always my favorite part of school, and I always felt very comfortable in there. But I always knew that it would be kind of a means to an end for me in the back of my mind. I'm very, everything I do, I always look about how I can make it better, how I can make it different. And so when I was in clinic, I was doing that same thing, and some of the instructors liked it and some of them couldn't stand it, but I was always looking for ways of improvement. So that kind of trickled into my clinical work as a hygienist. And I do love working with patients, but again, I never saw that as a full-time thing for me. But when I was in practice and I was doing patient care, I always migrated to the ultrasonic scaler. Was, one of, still today is my favorite tool. And so, but having the cord was always, it was cumbersome. It was always an issue. And I felt as though I couldn't adapt the tool the way that I needed to in order to be effective with it. And so I kind of applied the same rules of fulcrum that we learn in school with regard to hand instruments to Cordeze, and felt that the wrist would be the better option of being able to take the weight off of the hand. So that's where I started, and just put one foot in front of the other. I found myself at Michael's getting stuff for prototypes and just started playing around with the design a little bit. And yeah, so it really was out of necessity that I made Cordeze, because and what I found was, after I did start using the prototypes in practice, that I was more efficient with the tool as hoped. And also it kind of it gave me a better opportunity to give my patients better care because I was more effective with the tool, but also it cut my scaling time down, which it was kind of just it was a added bonus. I wasn't expecting that, but it actually, made me stay on time a little bit more, and time management wasn't such an issue for me. But that said, the obvious part of Cordeze and the focus is, again, students is, I think because it takes us so much longer when we're learning to do things. I think, when you're in school, you're constantly being told to set up properly, and ergonomics is a big issue. But there's not a whole lot of tools to help us. I mean, there are some with the loops and certain chairs and things like that, and now with Cordeze. But, again, we were always told that how important it was for us to be comfortable and ergonomically sound, but there's not a whole lot out there for us. So Cordeze was just one of those things, and is one of those things now that students can use, and clinicians that have been practicing for a very long time will enjoy it and reap the benefits as well. It just really takes the weight off of, and it makes you feel as though you're cordless, but you still have all the power that you have with the corded instrument. So yeah, it's just one of those solutions that it's kind of like I always get the reaction at trade shows. It's like, why didn't I think of that kind of thing?
Well, I tell you, like every time, because I've seen your booth when we were in Chicago, and then I saw your booth. So that was RDH in Chicago, and then I saw your booth. I missed you then, and then I saw your booth in this year. Oh, I love your display, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, and it was like packed. I mean, packed with hygienists. So that is awesome that the response has been wonderful from other hygienists. Really. The
support I'm getting from hygienists is it's motivating for me, because it's one thing to have an idea and say, yeah, this works for me, I like it. And it's another thing to kind of put it into action, get the product made, put it on market, and have other people enjoy it as well. So for me, the feedback that I get and the initial response I get from doing the face-to-face type marketing with trade shows is invaluable, because I get to meet awesome hygienists, number one. And number two, it's like, it really sells itself. So that's why our booth is we just have a good time, and it's just so relaxed. And people come up, and as soon as they put we have a demonstration cord, as soon as they do what they normally do with a lot of it's pinky finger holding. That's the way I learned, I know.
That's the way I did it.
Yeah, I think they're still teaching that, which I'm definitely trying to change, because there's really no need to do that at this point. So, but when they do it, the hygienists take it, and I tell them to, show me how they normally manage their cord, and they, again, always put it in the pinky finger, and then I say, okay, now take it off of there, and I slide the cord into Cordeze, and just the immediate reaction is just, it's fun. It's fun to watch, because it's just really sells itself. And I also had people, this time was really fun for Under One Roof, because I had people coming to me to tell me about their experience with it and how much it's helped them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of Cordeze fans coming by just to say hey and thanks. So that was just special. I loved it.
That really is, because a lot of people, when they look at businesses or RDH owned businesses, they see, the face of it, and, how everything looks great, but they don't really see the blood, sweat, and tears in the background. And a lot of times when we hear from our patients or our clients or whatever, our students, depending on where you are in our profession, when you hear that sense of appreciation from others, it gives you that rejuvenation, I guess, or that push to keep going in the direction that you're going. Because there's sometimes that you're questioning, like, oh, can I continue to do this? It can be exhausting. It can be exhausting. And I can't even imagine what it's like when you're developing a new product.
Yeah, it definitely takes, you wake up some days and you feel like a rock star, and other days you wake up and you go, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And, but yeah, it definitely helps to get that support and encouragement from the people that you're making the product for.
Yeah.
And so, and hygienists are an awesome group of people. I mean, they're very, the more I meet, they're just a very eclectic group, but very entrepreneurial. I mean, I don't know if that's a word. I'll just make that up. But
we're going to add it to the dictionary. You
change approved. But they're just creative and they have their own ideas. So they come up to me and they'll be like, gosh, I've got this idea I was hoping to do. And so they're looking to me for kind of guidance on the product development, which, at this point, like, I'm still new and I'm still learning a lot about, the business of it. And I always tell them, I'm like, if it's in your heart and it's in your head, it's there for a reason, so just go for it. And that's really what I kept telling myself down the road. I'm like, this was placed in my life for a reason, and I need to keep going forward and see it through.
I love it. I love the fact that you mentioned that, because that's exactly what I was going to ask you next is like, the biggest thing that I hear from other hygienists when they're trying to build their career or they're trying to do something outside of the box, like it's very hard to keep pushing forward against any self-doubt or fear that may come in. And so that was going to be my next question to you, because it's really the fear of unknown that keeps many people in that comfort zone, and they don't push forward and they don't really try different things that typically we're not really trained to do. Like, we're not given business instructions or instructions on how to develop your own product in dental hygiene school, or how to have your own business, or even to understand the business of clinical hygiene. We're not fully equipped with that. And so I love the fact that you just said, if it's in your heart, if you feel it there and you feel that is your purpose, just go for it. And sometimes you don't have all of the answers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I certainly don't. I mean, but there again, I think, if it's placed in your life, you're going to have the tools to see it through. You just will. And you have to, and there's always going to be people that want to bring you down. There's always going to be, and that was honestly the hardest point I had, was because I had, developed this over a length of time. This isn't something that came about, in a week's time. So I had to keep things very quiet before I got my patent and all of those things. There are a lot of things that happen before you actually go to market with your product. Mm-hmm. And the hardest part was pulling the trigger and kind of just putting it out there after having it be such a secret and keeping things to myself. Very, very few people, I can count on two fingers how many people actually knew what I was doing while I was doing it through my R&D process. But letting it go and letting it go out into the universe and start marketing it was the hardest part, because you're hoping that it's going to be well received. And for me, it was, I wanted value. I wanted to have a valuable, beneficial product out there. I wasn't just going out to sell wristbands, and I'm still not. I'm going to change the industry standard on scaling and how you work with corded handpieces. Mm-hmm. And that's going to start in the schools. It's going to start in the ground floor. It's not just a product. I'm trying to change the way people have done things for a very long time. So it's work in progress. It's just going to be. And there's always going to be those people that look at it and go, well, it's just a cute little trinket, or want to say something negative about what you're doing in your efforts. But just like anything else, you just can't let it get under your skin, and you can't let it get to you, because it's really fun to prove people wrong too.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm a Beyonce fan. So as soon as you said that, all I heard of was the verse that she says, "The best revenge is your paper."
Yeah.
Because it's true. I mean, you're going to have that. And I love the fact that, even though you, in that process, you could not tell a lot of people, you still had a few that you could trust, which are just in two fingers. But you still, I think it's important for us to understand that even, yes, you will have naysayers, but you also need that supportive system to be able to continue on when you are on a road of the unknown. Like for me, I have my friends who are just my personal friends, but I also have those who I call upon when it comes to business related things, because it can be very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be very, it's just an uncertain path that you're going. Like you can't see 12 feet in front of you. You're not going to see that far in front of you, maybe a couple of inches in front of you. And that's the scary thing with business. There's a lot of risks that you have to take. And it's important for you to have a support system during that.
Definitely. And, and that kind of just goes, it goes with product development. It goes along with doing something that's never been done before, or going into an industry, or trying to change things that have been kind of gold standard, status quo kind of stuff over a long period of time, or going against the grain, or however you want to frame it. There's a lot of fear that goes with that, but that's where all the good stuff happens. At this point in my life, I realized that when you get that feeling like, oh, I'm so scared, but I'm doing it, I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
That's when all the good stuff happens. And so I encourage people just to go for it. It's such a simple thing to say, but underneath it all, it really is that simple if you think about it. It doesn't have to be like, you could go into a business and, I did things, not the traditional way. I spoke with people in the beginning that have their MBAs and they're, they've got all these credentials, and they're like, well, you got to do data analysis and you've got to do market research and da-da-da-da. I did none of that. And because I am the user of my own product. I'm RDH. So I knew, and I'm picky one at that, so I said,
most of us are.
Yeah, we're so type A, right? So I said, if I like it, most people will, I hope most hygienists will like it as well. But I did none of that. I did none of the traditional, because it could have, in my mind, I was thinking, well, gosh, that's going to take 10 years before I get this thing off the ground with all this. And in the meantime, you're losing opportunity, you're losing steam,
Yes.
just personal contributions, and waking up and being, saying this is going to be a productive day for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just did. I went with my gut, and I just put one foot in front of the other, just like anything else you do in life, and pray and hope for the best.
Yeah, I did another podcast interview and we were cracking up because, yes, I did create a business plan, but they tell you're supposed to have all of these certain steps aligned. Well, I didn't do it that way. I sort of just went with my gut and said, okay, boom, I'll do this. And I kind of let it evolve on its own. But I also have my husband who's willing to support me through that process. Not everyone has that. And so there isn't, some people, especially dental hygienists, and those who are type A, like myself, you tend to want to have like a step-by-step manual. Okay, you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to do this and you got to do that. But there are some steps that are necessary to help you be successful, but there's also a lot of it that's unknown, and you just, like you said, you have to just take that first step and then keep slowly moving forward and trust your gut. No one ever really talks about trusting your instinct at all when it comes to making decisions for a business.
Yeah, well, we all have it, right? It's in us, and it's there for a reason. It's a guide for life. So if you've got to just trust in that, and you've got to get out of your own way too. I found that there's so many times, at least this is just coming from personal experience, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people struggle with being successful, and it sounds silly, but we make up this dialogue in our heads about all the reasons why we can't do what is in our heart to do, and question ourselves every step of the way. And for me, I just really had to put that aside and say, you know what, that's not going to serve me in this particular moment in time, so I'm not going to give that any attention. And it's got to be a conscious decision to do that and put that aside, because certainly when all the outside influence starts coming at you, that could be the end of what you're doing. I mean, that could completely kill any hope that you have for going forward with whatever your project is, or your business, or your invention, or whatever it may be, or your career change, or an office change, anything. It could be little, it could be huge, but you've got to get out of your own way and just know that, again, I just keep coming back to, if it's in you for a reason, you have all the skills already. You just got to dig deep and go bring them out.
Yes. And all right. So one of the questions I definitely needed to ask you is, in your experience, what would you say would be the first step to consider as a dental hygienist that's interested in creating their own product?
The first step is, again, I think is just to identify what that is that you want. It's hard for me because mine was very specific. Like, okay, this cord's driving me nuts. And in that moment in time, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something about that. And I had a focus and I moved in that direction. So if that happens, I would just say, keep going in, and just, we're educated people. We're creative and smart, and just go for it. Go to the store and kind of do your own R&D, poke around, be creative with your approach on how you develop it. And then the other thing is, if you do need some type of framework, there's tons of things. Small business associations that are local can help you. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, and obviously a lot of it's just, stuff you don't want to get involved in, but there are good resources out there if you want to do the business plan, if you want to have a nice framework and you want to have a step-by-step way of going forward, then that's out there too. But I feel like if you have that concept or the dream of what, or the vision of what that is that you're thinking about, or even kind of like the general idea of what problem you want to solve, and then you just take that. And for me, I still have this to this day. I do one thing towards my goal, which is, obviously a successful business, but also beneficial and quality products. I do one thing every day, and it doesn't matter if it's a simple phone call or an email, or I wake up and I'm rocking the world and I do a whole bunch of things, but I never let a day go without keep going in the direction of where I want to be. And so, there's just a lot to it, but at the same time, like I said before, it's very simple. You just have to keep moving in the direction that you want to go.
Yes. I love it. And I tell you, like, I've talked about this, about having a clear mission and also vision for where you want to see your career or whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. When you understand that, then you're able to be more intentional with each step that you take. So I love the fact that you mentioned, like, having a goal every single day and making sure that it fits that framework that you have in your mind of what you're trying to accomplish. And that's certainly what I do. Every single person that's successful, like I am a techie person, but I also like to write things down. I actually write what my intention is for that day. And I keep that focus throughout the day so that I am productive. There is no way that you're able to handle, especially as women. I hate to leave out the hygienists out there, but especially with women who are raising children, who may have a spouse and have a family they have to run, and you also have your work, and then you may be also building a business. It's a lot of plates to juggle, and so it's very important for you to set your attention for each day from the very, very beginning, so that you can stay on track.
Absolutely. And, there's so many hygienists out there that have really unique ideas. And, some of them share it with me and others just say, well, I can't tell you, which is cool. I love that, keep it under wraps. It's fine. And I hope they come up with the next big thing. But it's just, there's so much it's certainly in dentistry that can be improved upon. and the thing that trade shows just highlight for me is that when I came up with Cordeze, and it's by a hygienist for hygienists, that carried a lot of weight, because there's not a whole lot of tools and new products available specifically designed for hygienists. There's a lot for dentists, but not for us. So it just warms my heart to know that that aspect of it is appreciated, and it keeps me going forward. I've got other products that I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Jasmine, but I have the high-low now, which is also it's just an attachment for Cordeze. But I'm listening to all the hygienists. I'm listening to their feedback. I'm taking what they are telling me on site at these trade shows, or if they email me. I'm taking all that in, and I'm trying to continue to develop things that are going to make their jobs more comfortable and more efficient.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, Debbie. All right, here's my last question for you. I hate that it's ending already.
This is fun. I love it.
I know. Okay, here's the next question. What was the best career advice you've ever been given?
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Oh, that's a hard one, Jasmine. The best career advice. I don't know. I really don't know. What I can tell you is there's been a couple of people. I don't know if there's one particular piece of advice necessarily, but there have been a lot of people during school and even through now that I'm doing Cordeze that have supported me and mentored me and helped me out quite a bit. And I'm not going to mention names, but there are a few in particular that pushed me, encouraged me along the way, whether it was getting through hygiene, the hygiene program, or continuing to develop my product, that whether it was just a simple phone call or, just a smile and kind of don't give up, keep going, type of communication, it just helps. And we're saying stuff about support earlier, but it's just so true. You have to have people behind you that believe in you, that lift you up in those times that you need it. And so whether that comes by way of, some statement or comment that kind of just resonates with you and pushes you through, or it's the little daily things, or just a random way of reaching out to say, hey, you're doing a good job, keep it up, is it's really invaluable, and it's very special. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, whether or not it did, I just loved it. Because I joined a initiative called 100 Hearts Project, and you commit to and you dedicate writing 100 cards of appreciation. And it's beautiful because the lady who is the artist behind it all, each of the designs that she creates are specifically for women who have impacted her. Or not women, but just specifically people just in general who have impacted her, and she's showing appreciation for them.
That's awesome.
As you were talking, I just thought about the cards of appreciation I would receive. And like I just received an award, and someone sent me a back scratcher that was saying that they were giving me a pat on my back.
That is so cute.
Isn't that so cute?
Yeah.
And just receiving cards like that from hygienists who you don't even think that they would think that of you, and they really take the time out to express that for you. I mean, it just means the world. It really does. And I love the fact that you mentioned that. So I when I hear you say that, it just reaffirms to me that the practice of gratitude is really something for our community as a whole, not just for us personally, but it just makes it wonderful to be a part of our community. I don't know what's wrong with that, but that's how I'm feeling.
I love that, and I'm sure you do, because you know, you have a really big loyal following, and it's for a reason. You know, you are inspiration to people, and just for the short time that I've spoken with you, you know, I really appreciate your leadership in the industry, and we need to have that. You know, we need to have those people. No one knows everything, right? We're all kind of in it together, but having the experience and then coupling that with you know, having that sense of gratitude like you spoke about, and the desire to share your experiences and your support with other people in the industry is huge. And we're going to need that more than ever going forward, because everything's changing so quickly. But you know, as it pertains to me and Cordeze, I just wanted to put something out there and make it a positive experience for people. And even though it's a simple product, I think it solves a big problem. And, you know, there's, you know, I won't go into all the specifics of it, but there's a lot of reasons why a lot of hygienists can't keep practicing and doing what they love. The physical demands of this job are just crazy. And so the statistics are, you know, 8 out of 10 people suffer for some type of musculoskeletal disorder or pain associated with that. And that really hasn't changed over the years. So, you know, again, my goal was to try and change the industry standard and trying to make a positive impact on the industry and the people within it. So in my small way, I hope I'm doing that.
Well, I think you are. And I feel so honored to actually have you on the show. You know, when I first saw your picture, I'm like, oh man, look at this gorgeous lady. And you're a little intimidating.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
I have to tell you that, yes. But to hear your why, not that you have said anything, just like, oh my gosh, that's Debi Cordeze is what I was calling you. Debi Cordeze. So it's wonderful to get to know you on this level, to hear your why. I feel like it gives me a great appreciation of just hygiene in general. And I hope that everyone that's listening will find some way to support what you're doing. And of course, Beyond the Prophy will continue to support you. So let us know how we can find out more about the Cordeze and how they can purchase it.
Thanks so much, Jasmine. Yeah, so I loved being a part of this podcast. It's been so much fun. Thank you. And very chill. I love it. Yeah, so everybody can go on. I do 2 things. I sell direct, and I also sell through select distributors, dental distributors. So you can go, the easiest way probably would just to go on Cordeze.com, Cordeze.com. And there's testimonials there, there's instructional videos there, and then they can order directly.
Okay, awesome. So we definitely will put that in the show notes so that people will have an easy access to that. But I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today.
Thank you again. And I want to mention too, because schools I think are going to be key in trying to, going forward, kind of put a dent in this statistic of people that are in pain as they do their clinical hygiene. If the schools are interested in implementing Cordeze or any of its products into their program, they can email me direct. And my email address is deb@cordeze.com. And I do have pricing and samples available for any program that is interested in doing that.
Woohoo! Yeah. I was just talking about that with our clinical coordinator, and that is definitely something that we want to implement. I mean, it starts in the schools. It really does start there.
Has to, yeah.
Yeah, it really does. If we really want to see the change that is necessary so that we can stay healthy.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Deb. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jasmine. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Me too. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.